we're going to call it an epidemic of people feeling alone.
Yeah.
In your career, in your field of what you see, what do you think is the greatest reason why people today feel more alone? I saw this thing the other day that they started counseling 120 years ago, and 120 years later, we're the most anxious, depressed, lonely society that we've had maybe ever.
Yeah.
With more tools and more knowledge than we've ever had before. Why do you think that is?
Oof.
It's a big question, and
it's a big question. It's a big question because I think there's a lot of there's so many contributing factors, right? Some probably overarching, some that are really specific, like we were saying earlier, specific to certain populations, certain ages, right? But I mean, popular culture right now is kind of obsessed with the phrase, male loneliness epidemic, which I think is real. Excuse me. I think that definitely is a real thing, So I think there's culturally and societally, we don't live the way we used to. Mm-hmm. We don't live, where, we have, kind of roles in a society or in a community like we used to have, or still exist in other more kind of tribal oriented cultures, or there's other cultures around the world where they are more connected and more communally based. Our Western society has grown more and more and more down the individualistic route. Mm-hmm. So my expertise is not in the philosophical basis of that, but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on what traces that back to the Enlightenment and then how that's kind of played out. But culturally, I do think it's accelerated even more so, for us in probably the past few decades even.
Well, I think the introduction to, computer and technology has obviously played a huge role in that, because now we're no longer out for a lot of the jobs that people have today. They sit in front of a computer desk at a cubicle all day long, or maybe they're even working remotely, or maybe they're working online. And so we don't have this experience where we show up to an office or show up to a trade where I'm working with a team of people to try to get something done. I have a job to do here by myself all day long in front of this screen, and so I don't have communication with people all the time. And I think that would be one of the pieces that's kind of led to that societally today in the Western.
Yeah, I think with younger generation, that's a big piece too. Whereas before, I think some of the research points to, that previously, say you're in your 20s. Well, typically, in decades past, guys in their 20s, if we kind of just talk about, because there's some different stuff between men and women in this for sure, but guys in their 20s would have actually felt more connected. There's I forget exactly what the percentages are, but the difference in the amount of, kind of close friends guys say they have is far drastically reduced than the data from 1990.
Sure.
Right. So I think part of that technology, just on a very kind of surface practical level, completely reinforces that.
Gallup did a poll on this and found today that 25% of men say they don't even have one close friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one in four men. I mean, that's a shocking number. And I don't think I wouldn't have thought of that. I've always had my little band of brothers, as it were, throughout life. I guess that kind of goes to what you're inferring there, is these age groups are really the greater separator. Right now, it's our age of guys, we didn't grow up with computers and cell phones and all this. So really, you were running around with your buddies and you were developing through experiences. You'd go through some stuff and you'd have to collude together to get through it. And that can develop those deeper relationships.